Alrighty, everybody. We are live and in living color on the Five Kings Motorsports YouTube page, Five Kings Network Facebook page. I'm up here solo dolo again tonight. We're calling the American Sim Racing League ARCA Series. This is a playoff race. Typically, we like to lean towards the oval side of racing, but tonight these drivers, they're going to be facing a very tough challenge. The ARCA Series at Watkins, Glen. You can only catch it one place live and in living color here on the Five Kings Motorsports YouTube channel, Five Kings Network Facebook page. We are just moments away from going into qualifying. Excited to come in here tonight, see what these boys are going to do, see how they're going to elect to attack this type of track here tonight. As we know, these stock cars, they're heavy. They're not used to turning right. They can turn left, okay. Still not very good, but decent. But when you start trying to force these cars to turn left and right, man, oh man, that's when the cream's going to rise to the top. And we've seen it many other times in real life road courses. You typically get your best drivers up towards the front on these type of tracks here. It's all about throttle control. It's all about maintaining your equipment, trying to keep the car clean. And I mean, that's what we're going to see here tonight. Only 40 laps here tonight, so it's going to be not a short race, but it will be a shorter style race than what we are accustomed to when we are here. We see Brad Collins right here going to roll out and try to put down a qualifying lap. Let's take a ride with Brad Collins as he's on his warm-up lap here as he goes out and tries to get up to speed. These S's right here, they're going to be treacherous all night long. The car, it gets so light through here. You notice we're coming uphill a little bit right there. And then when you crest the top of that hill, it's just like the back end of the car loses all weight. And it just wants to spin out right there. You see, get a lot of speed, fastest part of the track right there. Then you're really hard on the brakes trying to hit this chicane or a bus stop as it's called. And then this carousel right here. This is a pretty fast portion of the track. You can make passes here, but it's going to be difficult to do all night long. You got to be careful and methodical about how you choose to approach the carousel. And then you see hard on the gas here. Going to be braking, and when you get on the brakes here, you're on the brakes really hard again. So that's something else you got to watch. You don't want to use your equipment up too much. You start locking up them front tires, and with only 3 sets in the pits, you're going to be in a bad way as the race goes on. See, the car starts to get a little bit loose there. We're gonna stay on board Brad Collins here and see how he does. Another hard braking zone right here, and that's where the passing opportunities are going to come here tonight, folks. Is these hard braking zones. Who's going to outbrake who? But that is also where mistakes can come from. And I mean, all it takes on these road courses is one small mistake to lead to something catastrophic. And that's what these guys are going to try to mitigate as much as they can here tonight. And we see Brad Collins, fastest portion of the track right here. Going to get on them binders really hard. Try to get that car slowed up just enough to carry enough momentum, enough speed through the chicane. Goes a little wide. You see that wheel. It was cocked to the left, and it was still going straight. Had no type of forward grip whatsoever right then. I was hearing birdies in my ear whenever I was listening to the drivers out there practicing. They were telling me that the setup is really, really loose, and it has to be loose to be able to make some of these corners. But you got to be mindful of that. And we just seen Brian Dees, the driver of the number 17 machine, have one of the fastest laps thus far tonight. Put it in a 14s with a 1 minute 14.66 his first lap out. Let's actually switch over to Brian Dees here. As he's coming through the S's, he is really willing that machine. Coming to the fastest part of the track here, this straightaway right here, you gain so much speed. And it's crazy because not only is it the fastest spot of the track, it's also the hardest braking point because you got to get that car woed way up. You go from 4th gear all the way down to 2nd gear in about a 5-second span. You're really blipping that throttle, trying to rev match so you don't knock the tires off and start what they call wheel hopping. And we will see that tonight. Wheel hopping will be a thing tonight. See Brian Dees, he goes all the way off the carousel exit. He's going to use all that track that he can. Coming here to the second to last corner around here. This is his second lap around. Let's see if Brian Dees is able to get a little bit faster. We just saw Taylor the Butcher Benjamin went P2 on the board with a 1 minute and 14-second lap. Brian Dees that time by a little bit faster with a 1 minute 14-second .513 lap time for Brian Dees on his second lap around Watkins Glen. As we see the Butcher here, right here, coming to the front stretch. Is he going to be able to take that pole spot away from Brian Dees, number 17? Not able to, just a little bit off, but he was faster as well on his second lap. As we jump on over to the regular season champion here, Dalton Kilroe and the Daddy-O's, number 41, Five Kings Motorsports machine. Trying to get that car up to power. This is his second lap around the track. First lap out, Dalton went with a 1 minute and 15.36 second lap. That's still a really fast lap. But those drivers in the top 5 right now, top 4, they are mo-docking around here. You see Dalton really use them curbs. Kind of clip the grass right there. That's something you got to be mindful of. With iRacing's damage model, incident model, if you get an off track, if you barely get enough of your tire off track to where it warrants iRacing to give you a 1x off track, then that lap is null and void. It won't be counted. So you got to be mindful of that when you're trying to get as much as you can through the bus stop or the chicane area. Dalton swings it out wide, coming to the final corner of the track. That 41 machine is going to take it out really wide. Use that rumble strip, try to get some grip in that right rear. Left rear, excuse me, Dalton Kilroe, that time by, second fastest on the board, 400ths off of Brian Dees. So Brian Dees is still the lone man up top right now. Dalton Kilroe just put it up to P2. As I believe we just called Paul Ellison as he finished his second lap. He did. So while we got a little bit of a break in the action, I want to get the graphic up for us. Now, it's not the best graphic in the world, but it will show us who is our playoff contenders coming in to this high-stakes race here tonight. Let's switch it on over and get a look. So you see there, Dalton Kilroe, 10 wins on the season, folks. He's had 12 races that have been counted. He's had 11 top 5s, 11 top 10s, 10 wins. He's coming into this with a 84-point lead over second place on the board, Joshua Sexton. Then we got Taylor the Butcher Benjamin sitting P3 in the points. Rick Thompson P4 and Corey Rutherford rounding out your 5 playoff contenders here tonight for the American Sim Racing League Watkins Glen ARCA race. As they have now wrapped up qualifying I think we have about 3 minutes to spare. I was hearing the drivers really talk about the weather here today. So we'll see right there. Air temp is fine. The air temp is 78 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not too bad. Mostly cloudy. 55% relative humidity with a 2 miles per hour wind. So the weather conditions are great. I mean, that's perfect weather right there for anything you're doing in life, whether that's hunting, fishing, golfing, or racing. But you look over there to the left side of the screen and you see that temperature. That's the track temperature of 103 degrees Fahrenheit. So that track, all the rubber that's been built up on the track, it's going to get slick. And there will be portions of the track that it will feel like you are on ice. We saw Brad Collins. He carried a little bit too much speed through the bus stop. He had that wheel cranked totally to the left. I mean, it looked like it was 90 degrees straight to the left. And that car was still pushing forward. And that's because he had no front grip. And that's a product of the track being as hot as it is. As we got about 2 minutes before these boys are going to go to the grid, let's see if we can find a driver to interview. I think we're going to pull up Mr. Third Place Man. Have just a quick chat with him. Was chatting with him a little bit before the race. Taylor, the Butcher Benjamin. This is Tanner Marr in the Five Kings Network booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Tanner.
So, Taylor, you ended up putting it P3. I think by the time I switched over, I think you were P1 on the board in practice. So that shows that you have good speed coming into tonight. I know the strategy you all are wanting to do. But besides all that, how are you expecting tonight's race to play out? What's your approach to the night? Is it slow and easy, or is it pushing out the gate?
I mean, I guess a little bit of both, because you still gotta, keep the car on the racetrack, but at the same time, can't really get mixed back in all that traffic. So try to just set my own pace for a while, even if I let Brian and Dalton get out there for a bit, and just click off laps and execute on pit road and be there when it counts the most at the end.
If I was to come across and say lap one, turn one, there's a 60% chance there's going to be a pileup.
Oh,
Are you going to take the over or the under?
Well, I have confidence in these guys. I think we can make it through, but
It's just
like better not jinx me there.
Right. Well, it's just a tough turn one. And from the practice that I did this week, and I'm going to touch on in the broadcast some, if you don't blip and rev match perfectly in these cars, you can get some crazy wheel spin. But y'all are going to the grid. Taylor, you're starting P3. You got a great look to the front row. You got Dalton and Brian D starting right there in front of you. We'll be calling all the action, maybe talking to you at the end. Good luck, buddy.
Thanks. I'll talk to you afterwards.
That was Mr. The Butcher Benjamin, currently sitting P3 in the points. I wish I had time to interview more of the people. I wanted to do the entire top three right then, but sadly we ran out of time, so we will instead go through the grid right here. Like I said, we had Brian Dees from S&M Motorsports, driver of the number 17 Chevy Monte Carlo SS, I do believe it's called. Put it on the pole nonetheless with a 1 minute and 14-second lap, 5.513. Dalton Kilroy, driver out of the Five Kings Motorsports stable. He's going to be starting to the outside of row number one, just a few hundreds off Mr. Dees' time. Taylor the Butcher Benjamin, we just talked to him. We heard he's going to do a little bit of pushing, a little bit conserving. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but nonetheless, that driver starting P3. Jason Stewart, he's been really fast this entire season. Have done many laps with Jason. He's starting P4. Rick Thompson, another playoff driver coming out of the Speed Mafia stable. Driver of the number 76 Chevy. He'll be starting P5, round out your top 5 starters. Joshua Sexton's P6. Brad Collins P7, with Joshua Rutherford starting 8th. Corey Rutherford, it's a brother affair. They're normally right there with each other on track, and they're starting no different here tonight with Corey Rutherford starting 9th on the grid. Paul Ellison, driver of number 55 Chevy Monte Carlo SS, he's rounding out our top 10. With Matthew Edens and Casey Campbell, that's your 11th and 12th starters. A little bit smaller field here tonight. That puts the race in the hands of somebody like Dalton. He's coming in with a big points lead. So even if he was to have a god-awful race, I mean, just a terrible race, finish dead last on the grid, if there's only 11 cars out there, you're not going to lose a whole lot of points, really. And now, you still don't want to have a bad race. Nobody wants to have a bad race, but it is good to come into these races. When you have a cushion like that, you can really play the big picture game. And that's what I expect the driver of that number 41 Daddy-O's machine to do here tonight. And now you got drivers like Brian Dees. He's going to let it hang. I mean, he's going to go out there and he's going to give the best he can. The Butcher the same way, and we know Jason Stewart is for sure. Jason Stewart has one gear, and that's 110%. You just got to make sure you can make it through this turn one carefully. Let the field kind of get spaced out a little bit, and then that's when the real pace is going to start to show. And the guys that have the fast pace on the long run, they will end up being and finishing where they deserve to be, barring any major incident. And I do apologize. I called it a Malibu. I don't know why. I knew it was called an Impala SS. So, mistake number one in the booth here tonight. But for our viewers at home, let me know who y'all got. Who are you pulling for in this American Sim Racing Watkins Glen playoff race number 2 here tonight? Pace car is getting ready to make that hard right-hand turn on the pit road. Green flag is getting ready to fly in the hands of Mr. Barney Fife Jr. Who's going to lead them into turn one here? Who's going to come out of turn one in the lead? We're about to find out in just a mere seconds here, folks. Dalton Kilroy gets the good jump over Brian Dees right there, but is it going to be able to stick on the outside? Brian Dees gives him a little bit of room. We got to go back in the pack a little bit, see how these boys are shuffling. Everybody makes it through turn one nice and easy. We talked to the Butcher. He said he had confidence, and that shows why right then. But it's all Dalton Kilroy out front, coming to the fastest portion of the track here. Brian Dees is the trailer hitch behind him. Jason Stewart behind him, and I'm hearing crashing behind him. We got a playoff contender, Taylor the Butcher Benjamin, off track. Not sure what has happened, what had transpired with that car, but that car is toast right now. Man, oh man, a heavy, significant damage to the Butcher right there. Hopefully, oh, just head on into the outside wall here, folks. Trying to see if I can get a better shot of it here. Oh, the Butcher, he just gets loose right there, folks. Just gets loose, tries to collect the car, cannot get it collected, and goes head on into the outside wall. Tough break for that number 311 machine. We just talked to that driver. That's a playoff contender right there. As we head back up front, Dalton Kilroy, he's going to get lap number 1 led in the books. This American Sim Racing League, it's been his playground all season. Will Brian Dees knock him off his perch? There's plenty of speed in this session right here, right now, that can knock Dalton off his perch. Will there be a driver to do it? As they're coming up through the S's here, you can start to see the field is starting to kind of fan out a little bit. You got Jason Stewart, Brian Dees, Dalton Kilroy. You can throw a blanket over the top 3, but then you got Joshua Sexton. He's a little bit further behind. He might be trying to save his equipment. You got Joshua Rutherford. He's leading the next cluster of cars with Brad Collins right there behind him. Corey Rutherford, Rick Thompson. There's some playoff drivers in there as well. You see they go single file through the chicane. If anybody tries double file through that chicane, whoever they tried on is not going to be happy with them. As they're coming out of the carousel, they're all still single file. They got to pick and choose. You got to pick your spots when it comes to this road courses. Corey Rutherford, a playoff contender, with another playoff contender of Rick Thompson firing off right there behind him. I know Rick, he wants to go to the front. He's a very strong competitor right there. All these drivers are in that line. So look for them to start closing the gap on the front 3. As it's looking like Brad Collins is going to try a power move to the inside of Rutherford. Rutherford is going to show it to him. They're going to be 3 wide at Watkins Glen. That's not going to work, boys. Joshua Rutherford got the bad end of that stick there. Let one driver go, and you saw what happened in the rest. The other 2 took advantage of that one misfortune for Joshua Rutherford. And that allowed the other 2 to get around him. As it looks like Corey, he's going to try to look underneath Brad here. Thinks better of it. Just going to try to put some pressure on that number 22 machine. Force Brad Collins to make a mistake here is what Corey is trying to do. He's trying to fill that mirror of that 22 up. We got to go back up front and see what's happening here. The top three are still nose to tail. Just very little room separating them. Dalton gets another lap led. Lap 4 that time by. Coming into turn 1 here. It's all about just hitting your marks here at these road courses. You cannot lose focus, not even for a second. If you lose focus, you saw what happened to the Butcher. Now, I don't think that was a focus thing. I think it's what I spoke about earlier. Coming at the top of that hill, he hit the crest of the hill. The back end of the car just kind of got light, and it just stepped out on him. And next thing he knew, he was looking towards the outside wall. And tough break. But Brian Dees, he is currently hounding our leader right here. I think he's going to try to make a move coming to the carousel. Remember, no cautions here tonight, so pit strategy is going to be super important. Brian Dees is electing to run a little bit lower line versus that 41 through the carousel, but he still gets a great launch off. He is filling that 41's mirror up. As we're going to go on board with Brian Dees, see what it looks like, what these drivers are battling as they're trying to attack this 8-corner road course here in Watkins Glen. Five laps on the board here. All the way from 4th gear. Some people might stay in 3rd gear on the front shafts, and they're shifting down to 2nd. Then they're really hard back in the gas right here. And they try to carry as much speed as they can through these S's, but you cannot bite off too much. If you do, you're going to see that car start to wiggle. You see right then, Dees, he's having to drive that thing right now. See how hard he drives it into the bus stop here. Still fairly smooth with the wheel. He's having to drive it a little bit, but still really smooth with the wheel. As we're going to go get an update on the other cluster, we saw Brad Collins. He was leading that cluster. I think something has happened to Corey Rutherford, though. Yes, that driver has left front damage there, folks. I think it looks like it. It's hard to tell. I think it does a little bit, though. It does have a little bit of left front damage. Let's check the guys that are running. Paul Ellison's clean. Rick Thompson at 76 is still looking clean. And his brother of Joshua Rutherford, if you remember, they both, Rick Thompson and Corey, both got by Corey's brother Joshua. And now they both are behind him with a pretty significant gap. So that tells me we definitely missed something. As we're going to go back on the telltale box and see what happened here. Oh, these drivers are just racing hard here, folks, as we went back to see. Let's go back and see if we can catch that one more time. Rick Thompson just to the inside of Corey and gave him a little nudge, sent that driver around, and that's going to allow that his brother Joshua to get by Rick Thompson as well. Tough break for Corey in that number 5 Kellogg's looking machine. As nothing's changed up front, Brian Dees, he is still all on the back bumper of that 41. I'm not sure if he's actually faster than Dalton or if these drivers are almost just playing cat and mouse with each other. Brian may just be trying to force Dalton into an issue, and Dalton may be trying to force... Oh, we got a pit strategy here. Lap 6 on the board. Dalton has elected to come in and pit. Let's keep the camera on Dalton real quick because I want to see what this driver elects to do here. He should be coming all the way down here to us. I don't like these camera views at this road course whatsoever. Let's see what this driver number 41 Daddy-O's machine. If you ever want to get a point of view from the drivers, you see it right there. Twitch.tv/DK Racing. He filled that car up with Sunoco racing fuel. No tires yet. Too early in the race for tires. But fuel is going to start playing into the equation. I was told before they went green it was going to be a 2-stop race. And I'm not sure now. That let Brian Dees take the lead. It's all number 17 in that Marvel's Avengers machine. But he has Jason Stewart slowly but surely reeling him in. Fastest guy on the track that time around was Brian Dees. Let's see what they are this time around. As they're on the front stretch here now, let's see which of the two drivers can best the other one. Brian Dees that time around was another 10th faster than Jason Stewart, but the fastest car on the track that time around, Joshua Sexton, in the number 51 machine, actually swings a little wide right there. As he's making his way down the fastest portion of the track, the long straightaway. Going to get it on the brakes really hard here. Try to make that chicane. If you overshoot this chicane right here, I mean, your race is... Oh, Josh clips the grass a little bit. Gets a little loose. Trying to maybe push that number 51 a little bit too hard right now. We go back here to Brad Collins. Brad Collins is not far behind. He might be able to catch that number 51 if that 51 keeps making little small mistakes like that. As it still stands, Dalton Kilroe is the only driver that has elected to pit thus far. He's currently trying to chase down two drivers in front of him of Joshua Rutherford and Rick Thompson. Rick Thompson has actually got back around Joshua Rutherford as we saw Rick and Corey have a little contact with each other. Maybe rough each other up a little bit. Paul Ellison, he's doing a really mighty fine job in that number 55 Menards colored machine. Just being consistent right here. Not pushing the car too hard. And you notice, you can tell though, because this car is squeaky clean still. And I had a wise man once tell me to finish first. First you got to finish. As I'm seeing on the telltale box, Matthew Edens has crashed. Let's see if we can go back and see what happened to number 88. Looks as if he's just coming to the carousel too fast, a little too high. Track starts to flatten there. Looks like no harm, no foul. Lost a little bit of time, but no damage. That's always good. I mean, that's the best case scenario. If you wreck at a road course, have 0 damage. As Dalton Kilroe has actually got around that number 306 of Joshua Rutherford. Now he's got his eyes set on Rick Thompson. When will our leaders decide to pit? With Dalton pitting on lap 6, that was very, very surprising to me. Will Brian Dees break the ice for the rest of the field? When he pits, will the rest follow? Mind you, folks, they have 2 sets of tires in the pits. So you got to try to choose them wisely. I'm not exactly sure how far they really can make it on fuel. But I know it's got to be getting close now. As Brian Dees actually gets the first part of the chicane. Got in there just a little bit hot. That's going to allow Jason Stewart and the Zero machine to actually kind of close in on that driver a little bit. Coming through the carousel right here. Going to see if he can match the pace and maybe gain a little momentum on that 17. The Zero's in the best spot right now because he knows. 17 knows the Zero's right there behind him. And although it's bad to constantly look at your mirror, the 17 is doing that because you get worried. You're like, how close is that driver? Did I gain on that driver here? Did he gain on me there? And then you start thinking about that. And that's when you take risk of maybe missing one of your marks, overshooting the corner, missing your rev match whenever you're trying to downshift for these corners. And I mean, there's a lot that plays through your head on these road courses. I'm very impressed with how these drivers are just matching pace that time around. A 1:15.82 for Brian Dees, and Jason Stewart matched it. A 1:15.83. So just 100ths off of each other's times. They are virtually neck and neck when it comes to pace right now around Watkins Glen. I am really starting to wonder the pit strategy here. Mark Arthur, if you're watching out in the chat, please let me know, how far do you think these drivers can actually go on the fuel that they are provided here? As they just came around for lap number 12, coming up through the S's here, Jason Stewart, he is still trying everything he can to force a mistake out of that number 17. The number 17 is just not going to do it. I mean, he's a veteran when it comes to sim racing. If he makes a mistake, they are few and far between. As we come and start looking at our playoff contenders, we got Joshua Sexton currently leading all playoff drivers. He's sitting P3. Then we got Rick Thompson. He's sitting P5. Dalton Kilrow, who elected to pit on lap 6, he is sitting P6. Corey Rutherford is sitting P9. And unfortunately for the Butcher, he qualified 3rd. Car actually looks really good now, but he did get himself into some trouble very first lap coming up through the S's for the ones that joined us late. Went into the outside wall, basically head on. So that's why we're seeing the Butcher. I think he's showing us currently 5 laps down. And he is a playoff driver, so that could have some playoff implications. But we have a pit. We have a driver that's electing to pit. Brian Dees is coming down pit road here now. We're 13 laps in. Going to be 14 laps in, yeah. So let's see what Mr. Dees elects to do here. Is it time for Mr. Feelgoods with your Sunoco racing fuel? Let's see what he does. Yes, he is taking tires, so I'll expect Mr. Dees' pace to pick up, and now I also expect the drivers that have not pitted yet. It's only been Brian Dees and Dalton Kilrow, and of course Taylor Benjamin that got his damage fixed. They're the 3 that have pitted thus far. Brian Dees, like we just saw, pitted on lap 12. Dalton Kilrow, he had pitted on lap 6, but he did not take no rubber. When are these other 10 or so drivers, when are they going to come in? Jason Stewart and that Stewart Farms machine, he is staying out for another lap. Going to get him a lap lead bonus here. Let's try to catch Joshua Sexton as he's coming around and see what he elects to do. It looks as if he's staying out for another lap. We'll go on back to Rick Thompson. We got Rick Thompson and Dalton Kilrow. We know Dalton's going to stay out right here. What is Rick Thompson going to elect to do? It looks as if Rick Thompson is staying out. Brad Collins is staying out. So, I saw that in the back. Matthew Edens, hard contact. Got Corey coming in right there. You got to be careful coming around the track like that. Got to be mindful of your surroundings when you go to do that. But heavy contact for Matthew Edens. Let's go back and see if we can catch that. Just gets off in the grass. Tough break for him because he was just trying to give them other drivers room. Man, hard into the barrier right there. And Corey almost wrong place at the wrong time right there. And luckily, 88 got grip and got across there. Well, that could have been a disaster for that number 5 machine. These playoff drivers, they can gain some points on the 3rd place right now. Mr. 3rd place in the points, Taylor the Butcher Benjamin. They just got to have a really solid race, and that's what Joshua Sexton. He's 2nd in the points right now, currently ahead of his competition of Rick Thompson, Dalton Kilrow, Corey Rutherford, and Taylor the Butcher Benjamin. You got to maximize your points in these situations. Let's see if Jason's going to elect to pit now. I wasn't even live. Let's see. Jason that time around did not pit. Matthew Edens is the only driver on pit road. So I think on Sunday night we could go about 16, 17 laps, 18 if you stretched it a little bit on fuel. So I think these ARCA cars, they're set up very similar. The league is set up very similar. 50% of fuel, I think that's about roughly where they can go. So they are getting really close to the pit window. Like I said before, I was told it was going to be a 2-stop race. With only a 40-lap race, there's coming to lap 25 to go. And it looks like Jason Stewart, he's bringing that number 0 machine down pit road. Is that going to break the ice now for the rest of the drivers? Is Joshua Sexton going to try to take a bonus point right here away from that 0? He is going to stay out. Can he beat the 0 to the line, though? I don't think he can. He can't. 0 beat him to the line. He switched right there at the line. He may have got him. We know Dalton's not pitting yet. Is Rick going to pit? Rick is not pitting. Then we got Brad Collins. He's coming around the final corner right here. Has Brian Dees all on him. If he is pitting, that's going to be a bad day. Brad Collins is not pit. See Joshua Rutherford. See what he's going to do here. He's not going to pit. What about Corey at number 5 machine? We saw him get a little bit of damage earlier. Got turned around a little bit. He is not pitting either. Paul Ellison, number 55. Is he going to pit? He's not pitting either. So, man, oh man, I figured when the top drivers started to pit, it would start forcing the hand as they came to lap 15 whenever Jason Stewart pitted in. We'll keep the camera on Joshua Sexton as he's coming out of the carousel here. 16 to 17 laps is what Mark Arthur says. That's roughly what I'm thinking as well. Mark, why don't you jump up in the broadcast booth with me? I'll share my screen, and you can kind of give us insights on the setup. For the ones at home that don't know, Mark Arthur, he is the mastermind, the setup Jedi, as he's called. That puts these together. Joshua Sexton stayed out another lap, got by that 88 at a dangerous portion of the track right there at the S's. Got to be careful with that, but no harm, no foul. Driver made it through there just fine. As we see now, Dalton Kilrow, he's in second place, trying to get his top dog spot back. We just saw Josh at the fastest portion of the track. Now Dalton is. Josh is ahead by about 12 seconds, but Josh has not pitted yet. Dalton pitted on lap 6, and Dalton still is on the same rubber that he started with. Brian Dees, Jason Stewart, they are on fresh rubber. We do know that. It's Joshua Sexton. Joshua Sexton at number 51. He's going to bring that machine down pit road here now. He's finally went as far as he decided he wanted to go. What is Dalton Kilrow going to do here? That number 76 of Rick Thompson, he's coming in with him. We know Brian Dees is going to stay out. Jason Stewart's going to stay out. It has now cycled to how they were running earlier in the race, how it started. We got Dalton up front, Brian Dees in P2 with Jason Stewart P3. Jason Stewart actually has his eyes set on Brian Dees. And now remember, folks, Dalton did not take tires. Is the pace going to be that big of a difference between what he has in the car versus what Brian Dees, Jason Stewart, and them have in the car? And they are on the same straightaway. Brian Dees can actually see Dalton out his windshield. As we're getting closer to the halfway point here, folks, going to be lap number 22. Will be 22 to go when they go past the front stretch this time around. Brian Dees, he's catching that driver of number 41, Dalton Kilrow. He gained about half a tenth from the time they got on that long straightaway to the bus stop. Them old tires are just going to really start showing their effects now, because Dalton's going to have to get on the brakes a little bit harder, going to have to wait a little bit longer to pick up the throttle when he's coming out of these corners. So that time by, Brian Dees was almost a whole 2 seconds faster than Dalton Kilrow. And I'm also noticing Jason Stewart. He's getting up there a little bit closer to Brian Dees. Jason Stewart was actually the fastest car on track that time around. It's actually quite amazing how it all cycled from the green flag pit stops. Everybody elected to pit on kind of different laps, but they're almost identically running how they were running. And oh my goodness gracious, Jason Stewart gets into the back of the 88. I don't like seeing that right there. Yes, the 88 is a lap down, but he is racing too, and now it's going to be big, major trouble for the 88. Tough break for that 88, man. Now, some will say, yes, he should have got out of the way, but he's racing. He's in the chicane. I don't like seeing that. Hopefully, for Jason Stewart's sake, hopefully he did not get no damage there. Man, it's a tough break for Matthew Edens in the 88. He's been down all night. He's had a rough night thus far here at Watkins Glen. We know, I mean, that's just how it goes. Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. Just like Matthew Edens has turned out to be the bug tonight. Tough break for the number 88. As we give an update on the lead, it's kind of actually plateaued. Dalton Kilrow was faster than Brian Dees and Jason Stewart that time around. But Jason Stewart, after that contact with the 88, that made a little fire in that driver's eyes. He may be really gripping that wheel because he is right up on the bumper of that number 17. He could probably tell you every superhero that's on the back of Brian Dees' beautiful machine that was painted by the one and only MF Racing Designs. That's Michael Falk over on Facebook. Look up MF Racing Designs and let him know we sent you, and he will hook you up with a beautiful paint scheme, and he will work with it until you are satisfied 100%. Joshua Sexton, he's ran strong all night, just does not seem to have the pace to match with those top three. Earlier in the race, it looked like you could throw a blanket over the top four drivers, but here since around like lap 5 to 6, Joshua Sexton seemed like he may be asking a little bit too much out of his equipment. Maybe he's pushing a little bit too hard, trying to get too much out of the car. The old cliche saying is sometimes to be fast, slow is fast, and that's really prevalent in oval racing, but it's definitely true in road course racing as well. As I want to give an update on our playoff drivers, we got Corey Rutherford. He is sitting P8 after having a spin earlier. Good bounce back for that driver, number 5 machine. Rick Thompson, he's sitting 5th right now. Got a good top 5 run going right here. Then we got Joshua Sexton. He is sitting in front of Rick Thompson. He is currently sitting P4. Then we got Dalton Kilrow, who of course he's won 10 races this season. This ARCA car, he just has something figured out with this ARCA car, but that gap between Dalton Kilrow and Brian Dees is now down to 3 seconds, so he is shaving time off, but I just don't know if he's shaving it off fast enough. And then our last playoff contender, we saw him. Tough break of the night goes to Taylor the Butcher Benjamin, lap 1. Pancakes the front end of the car to the outside wall, coming up through the S's. I mean, that's a tough break, whether you're in the playoffs or whether you're just out here racing for the win. He started P3, and ultimately that ended his night of contending for a win, but the loyalty was there and he stuck around. He's going to try to get as much points as he can. All right, folks, it's becoming that time of night when we have to hand out the MF Racing Designs best paint scheme of the night, as we're going to cycle through the field, and y'all let me know who you think the best paint scheme is. Brian Dees was our winner last week, so by default, he cannot win it 2 weeks in a row, although I do want to give it to him again. So we'll start off with Mr. P1, Dalton Kilroe, and that number 41 Daddios machine. That's a good looking car. And like I mentioned, Brian Dees, that's our MF Racing Designs best paint scheme of the night winner from last week. Then we got Jason Stewart. That's that AC Delco type spinoff. Except it don't say AC Delco. It says Stewart Farms on it. That's a good looking ride. And then Mr. Joshua Sexton right here. Or as Mark Arthur likes to call him, Bob Ross the painter. That's a good looking MF Racing Designs very own paint scheme right there. Sponsored by the Butt Kicker. Then we got Mr. Rick Thompson, that number 76. Sometimes he actually has a gradient car that's actually beautiful. He's kind of switched it up this time, but I still, nonetheless, love that number 76 Dodge. And Brad Collin, that's another Speed Mafia car right there. If I do recall, this should be like a throwback to the Western Auto. Yep, it is. DW car from back in the day. That's another good looking car. Joshua Rutherford in the green and yellow and black work in progress machine. Corey with the great number 5 Kellogg's looking machine. Paul Ellison, number 55 Menard spinoff type machine. And then we got Casey Campbell, 73. And then the Butcher with an old school top flight scheme. That team is not even around anymore. He's still repping it. Somebody get this man a paint scheme, please. And then, of course, we had Matthew Edens. That car looked a lot better before him and Jason Stewart kind of tangled. But for my best paint scheme of the night, it's going to go to, drum roll please, it's going to actually go to the man that is on pit lane right now, Mr. Rick Thompson, driver of the number 76 Dodge, is going to be the holder of the MF Racing Designs best paint scheme of the night. If you want to win the MF Racing Designs best paint scheme or the best paint scheme in general for your league, hit up the one and only MF Racing Designs on Facebook. That's Michael Falk over on Facebook. Dude does quality work. His work is top notch. It is second to none. I wish I could just go through and start showing pictures, but we got a race to call. Now we got pit road starting to heat up. Dalton Kilroe went down pit road. That's going to let Jason Stewart take the lead. Brian Dees followed Dalton down pit road. Now what these drivers going to do is we got 16 laps to go. This is where it gets interesting here. With 16 to go, this is going to be the last stop of the race, so you got to take your tires now. Let's see what these drivers elect to do. Dalton Kilroe just took left sides. Is he going to take right sides? He's taking right sides as well. I'm not exactly sure why it's not showing me when they take left sides. It's kind of picking the car up. But nonetheless, Dalton Kilroe, he's going down pit lane, coming off in front of Brian Dees. Brian Dees is coming out now, though, and he can still. He's like a shark in water. He smells blood with Dalton up in front of him. That allowed Joshua Sexton to take P2. They're not really that far ahead of the guys that just pitted. And Jason Stewart, I mean, he is light years ahead of second place right now, has shown great pace. When is he going to elect to bring that number 0 down pit road? Hey, Michael Falk in the chat. That's MF Racing Design's very own. I wish he would come in here and talk to me. Michael, if you join Discord, I'll bring you up. But that's MF Racing Design's very own said we got to go with number 51 tonight. So, the MF Racing Design's best paint scheme of the night from the great painter himself went to none other than a car he painted. So that's a little weird, huh? But it's nonetheless, it's his award. We can give it to how we want to give it. He gave it to the number 51 of Joshua Sexton. When Michael first put this car in the group chat, I don't even think Michael knows this, but when he first put it in the group chat, me and Josh went to a separate text message, just me and him, and we had a little exchange where I called him a 5-letter word that Mark likes to say all the time, and I said, your car's better than mine. We always kind of joke with each other whose car looks better, and they all look great, obviously. But there's sometimes where he says my car looks better. There's other times where I say his car looks better, and we kind of just jab each other because we like paint schemes, both of us. I'm a little bit more out front. I mean, I got over $1,000 in die cast, so I love paint schemes. I love special paint schemes. So it's nice having somebody like Michael Falk around that actually puts hard work into these paint schemes. A lot of people can use Photoshop, but not very many people can do what Michael Falk does with Photoshop. That's Jason Stewart. He still has the lead. He's coming through the S's here. He is looking stout. Looking really stout here tonight. Got a 24-second lead over second place, Joshua Sexton. And then Dalton Kilrow. He's feeling the pressure. He is feeling the heat from Brian Dees, the soul stealer himself of that Marvel's Avengers machine. If I could, I'd give that car best paint scheme every single Wednesday night. The thing about that number 17 is, I know we've talked a lot of paint schemes. We're road racing. It's kind of hard to call these races, especially solo. But the thing I love about that paint scheme is, to truly appreciate its greatness, it needs to be stopped somewhere, preferably victory lane, and just have a picture taken of it from all sides. Then you can just really sit there and just stare at it. The amount of detail that's in that car is actually insane. As Jason Stewart is bringing his car down pit road, Tanner, shut up about paint schemes and call the race. The Mod Chaser Media right here of Stewart Farms number 0 AC Delco spin-off type machine is on pit road. I kind of like this car from Jason. He's going to have the freshest tires in the field as far as the front runners, unless Joshua Sexton elects to stay out. Joshua Sexton is going by pit lane, so he is staying out for another lap. I hate these camera angles they have here. They are terrible here tonight, folks. I need Mark to teach me how to download. You can download camera packs. I hear contact. I heard metal on metal right then. That's not good. Not sure who it was. This right here, folks, is going to be the battle for the lead as it stands right now. I don't think Joshua Sexton, he can save as much as he wants, but he's not going to make it to the end with the fuel he has. Dalton Kilrow and Brian Dees, they are coming up on Paul Ellison. Paul Ellison's in the grass. That's not what you want to see when you're battling like this. Man, oh man, that got hairy right there, folks. Brian Dees is going to try to regroup. So is Dalton Kilrow. When will Brian try to pounce on Dalton? As they're starting, they see the leader out their windshield now. So now not only is Dalton the chasey, he's also being chased. So he's the white piece of the Oreo in the middle right now. Joshua Sexton, he's bringing that 51 down pit road for the final time of the night with 12 laps to go when they pass the stripe this time. Surrenders the lead to none other than the 41 machine of Dalton Kilrow. That 17 has been hounding him all night. I tell you one person who hates that 17 car and how it looks. That's Dalton Kilrow. He has seen it in his mirror up close and personal all night long. Creates a little bit of separation from the 17 right there. It had a good job executing the S's right there. Let's see who gets the advantage through the chicane. Brian drives it in there a little bit deeper than the 41 does and actually makes it stick. I'm telling you, folks, it's getting ready to start heating up. I think Brian is pacing Dalton. I think he is actually faster than Dalton right now. And now, in 12, 11 laps, I might put my foot in my mouth when I say that, but I truly think Brian Dees is just waiting for the right chance and the right opportunity to pounce on that 41. Dalton is not going to make a mistake, though. His head is too big to allow a small mistake to happen. He's going to do everything he can to keep that 17 behind him. But that 17 is going to do everything he can to get in front of that 41. And I'm telling you, folks, don't count out Jason Stewart. We saw him pit a little bit after. Fastest car on the track by a long shot that time around was Jason Stewart. Almost half a second faster. Keep in mind, folks, he has 3-lap fresher tires. That's not a big difference. I'm aware, but it is a difference. If these two up in front of Brian Dees and Dalton Kilroe, if they start to battling, that could leave the door open for a driver like Jason Stewart. And if you open the door just a little for Jason Stewart, he's the type, he's going to take that front bumper and knock that door down and drive right through it for a race win. So these two, they got to be mindful of that. That reminds me of the Brian Vickers, I'm pretty sure, and Kyle Busch situation. They got to racing each other. I can't even remember who it was that actually won the race. My mind's thinking Brad Keselowski, but I don't believe that's right. And then Brian Vickers said, oh yeah, I forgot it's just the Kyle Busch show. As lap traffic or Casey Campbell, is it going to play effect right here in this battle? Casey Campbell gives the drivers the preferred line. Great racing etiquette by the number 73 right there of Casey Campbell. That's what you love to see out here, folks. Yes, he is racing. Normally, I say let the lap cars, they can go wherever they want. It's the lead laps cars' responsibility to pass. But on a road course like this, when they're battling so tight, neck and neck, that 73, kudos to you, Casey Campbell, for getting out of the way. As Dalton's got a little bit more of a comfortable lead. Definitely not too comfortable here. As I'm actually seeing Joshua Sexton is pitting again. Was a mistake made on pit road here. We're going to go rear chase and see what happens with this driver. Did he speed on pit road? We last saw him come in about 3 laps ago. I think that driver sped on pit road. He is taking his last set of tires. Maybe we'll get a word with him since he is in the championship battle. But we are 10 laps to go. Going to be 9 laps to go this time around. And since I missed it like a dummy, I apologize. But this is going to be the 10 to go. Brought to you by none other than BAM Racing Videos. If you like sim racing, 5 Kings Network, we got you covered over here. Well, we do sim racing on Wednesday nights, Thursday nights, and soon to be Saturday nights, 3 nights out of the week. And then we also live stream the other nights when we're racing. So if you like sim racing, 5 Kings Network has you covered. But if you like real life, grassroots, short track racing, look up BAM Racing Videos on YouTube. It's by a race fan for the race fans, for the racing community. And that motto, it says it all right there. That's all you need to know. As these fans right here that are racers here tonight, the 17 and 41, I'm telling you, fireworks are starting to be lit here. 9 laps to go at Watkins Glen for the second playoff race in the American Sim Racing League Series. ARCA cars here tonight. Mark, can you help me out in the chat? Is next week the final race of the season? The championship, end all be all next week? As we are now 8 laps to go, awaiting confirmation that the season does end next week. I do believe so. As we need to give an update on the rest of the field here. Jason Stewart, he's currently about 2.5 seconds behind Brian Dees in second place. Jason Stewart's sitting P3. Rick Thompson, he's crossing over the stripe now with the 8 to go. He is currently sitting P4 with Joshua Rutherford crossing the stripe, P5. And then I'm telling you, it's a brother affair. These two are always really close to each other, and it's no different whether it's on an oval or on a short track or on a 1.5 miles or on a super speedway. They are right here with each other again. You got Joshua Rutherford running 5th, Corey running 6th. And then we got Brad Collins. He is currently showing us P7 on the grid, on the board. He was showing some really good speed with that Dodge earlier. And I think he may have gotten to an incident that we kind of missed. But that's a Fish'em.net sponsored machine painted by MF Racing Designs, I do believe. Maybe he didn't paint that one. I'm not exactly 100% sure. I don't see his logo, but I thought he did. Either way, I know he's done work for MF in the past. That we see the 88 give the 22 all the room in the world. And then to keep going through the field, we got Paul Ellison sitting P8. Joshua Sexton, we saw him do an unscheduled pit stop, came in another extra time. He's currently P9 with Casey Campbell P10. Casey Campbell looks slow right then. Maybe wheel hopped. Then we got the Butcher. He started P3, got into a massive incident on lap 1. That car's been hurt ever since. Now with the ARCA cars, we saw whenever he originally got into the wreck, he didn't have a whole front nose on that car. It was there, but it was mangled. But luckily with the ARCA car, the crew, they get out there, they work their tails off, they get it fixed up where it looks good if you look at it. But I think that car is hurt. There's probably some suspension damage and stuff like that. But still, he still gained a spot because he stuck it out. And that's going to be an extra point for that driver right there. And we're now 6 laps to go. Dalton has opened it up to almost an 1/8 of a second gap over Brian Dees. Will Brian Dees be able to get there to Dalton? Or is Dalton going to get race win number 11 of the season? That is just insane to me to even think about. All right, we got an update from Mr. Arthur. He said, yes, next week is the final race, and it's going to one of my favorite tracks there is on the sim. That's Phoenix Raceway. Open dogleg. That apron, it gets hairy, folks. I've seen many, many wrecks to that apron, and I've heard many 4-letter words be caused by that one apron at Phoenix Raceway. That's going to be the championship race next week. Same place, same time. 5 Kings Network on Facebook and 5 Kings Motorsports on YouTube. As Brian Dees, he's actually starting to apply the pressure to Dalton as it's going to be 5 to go this next time by the stripe. Is that 41 going to be able to hold off the 17? Don't even forget, though, that 0. It was almost a 3-second gap a while ago. He's got it down to 2 seconds. He has him out his windshield. Let's go on board to see how hard that number 0 of Jason Stewart is pushing this machine. As I actually see a driver way off turn 1 right there. He sees those drivers up ahead of him battling for the lead. He wants them drivers to battle. Once they get side by side or really start trying to work over each other, that's when lap times will plummet for them two. They will not be nearly as fast if they start to battle. I think his lap traffic is going to actually hurt Jason right here on the exit of the chicane. Didn't actually get there all the way, so no harm, no foul. I think Corey's going to elect to go high. Good move by the number 5. That's a veteran type move right there, and he's aware of his surroundings and let the guys battle it out, go and try to put on a show for the good fans at home out in viewerland watching this. As now the interval is only 1 second to that number 17. As I'm just hearing word that Joshua Rutherford has brought it in for an unscheduled pit stop, so maybe he tried to stretch it on fuel, couldn't make it. It's still all Dalton Kilrow out front as there's 4 laps to go, folks. Time goes by, especially fast when you're having a ball, and we're having a blast here on the 5 Kings Network Facebook page, 5 Kings Motorsports YouTube channel for the American Sim Racing League, brought to you every Wednesday night. Next week, it's going to be the championship race at Phoenix Raceway. It's going to be a doozy. As we look back to that 17, they're going to use them curbs a little bit. Don't get too aggressive with them, though. They just use them just enough to kind of cut as much of the track as they can. That 17, I've noticed this all night. Dalton is running about a half a groove up in the carousel, whereas that 17, he's keeping it pinned right there to the rumble strips. And that's just preference. I mean, there's no correct way to drive a road course, I wouldn't think. It's just basically however you think you can be the fastest and the most comfortable. See the 17 actually get a little bit of wheel spin there. Drives it in there deep. It's about to get spicy. We're going to go back to TV1 here and get the best look of the show as we can. That 17's loose. I'm noticing smoke back there a little bit too. No harm, no foul. All drivers are going forward. 3 laps to go at Watkins Glen for the playoff race number 2 in the American Sim Racing League. Will Dalton Kilrow secure race win number 11 of the season? Or will that number 17 spoil the victors of that number 41 and get him a race win? We're going to find out in about the next 3.5 minutes. You know that 17 and that 41 and even that 0, they are all the way up on that wheel. They are gripping it tight. They're getting calluses on their hands when they're gripping that wheel so tight. There may not be money up for the line on this race, but there's something worth way more than money on the line for this race right here. That's pride. When you come out here and you can win at a road course with the talent that's out here like there is right now, that's a good pride builder. And we already know Dalton has all the pride and ego he can possibly have right now, Mr. 10 wins. And that's not a knock. I mean, he's had a flawless season. A almost flawless, perfect season. There's been 12 races that have been counted thus far. He has 11 top fives. I mean, good grief. He had one race where things may not have went his way. As we're 2 laps to go, it's not a clean racetrack out in front of Dalton, Brian, or Jason Rutherford of Joshua. He is going to come into contact, come into play right here. And they're going to catch him at a bad point of the track, right here at the chicane. That is not where you want to catch slower traffic, especially if you're Dalton Kilrow. They didn't close up on him too quick right there. He's going to go high here on the chicane, give these drivers as much room as they need. He's got to be careful out there. That track gets flat out there, and it can almost pull you out into the grass. But he looks like he made it through okay. But Jason Stewart was not able to get around him when he let the other two around. I think that's going to slow Jason down right here as they're coming into the second to last corner. Yeah, Jason's having to wait up a little bit. He can't really get back to the throttle the way he wants to. He's going to the inside of Rutherford. He is almost there to those drivers. I think he's just going to run out of time unless these drivers get to really battle in the last lap. White flag is out from Barney Fife Jr. here at Watkins Glen for the playoff race. Number 2, Dalton Kilrow has the advantage heading into the last time around turn 1. Will Brian Dees, will he put the bumper to him? These guys, they know each other. They race with each other every Wednesday night. They race together every Sunday night. Will he put the bumper to him? Will that bleed over into another series? Or is Dalton going to check out, not even let Brian Dees get there? He's opened it up to a 0.4 second of a lead right now. As they're coming to the fastest part of the track, they're going to get on these brakes hard one last time. Coming to the bus stop here, Brian Dees does get up there a little bit closer. He drives in there a little bit harder. Goes to the grass. Dees is trying to even mow the grass for Watkins Glen right now. He's trying everything he can to get there to Dalton. Uh-oh. Is he going to have enough? Is there enough to get there? I don't think Brian Dees will move him out of the way. I think he's too far back anyways. It looks like it's smooth sailing for Dalton. All he has to do is come around and make one more just decent corner. And he has win number 11 locked up. Brian Dees is going to bring it home P2 as long as nothing goes wrong. Brian Dees gets loose. Brian Dees gets loose. Jason Stewart's going to try to get up there to him. Didn't have the momentum to get there, but almost did. Dees almost threw away a second place finish. The race is not over for 4th place here. Rick Thompson going to be coming up on the second to last corner here. Just came out of the carousel with Brad Collins just now in the S's, so all Rick has to do is just be careful here. He has almost a 30-second lead over 5th place. Just be careful. Bring the car home in one piece, and you will be doing good. That's going to be Rick Thompson, another playoff contender, finishing P4 here tonight. A marvelous race from Rick Thompson. Saw him involved in an earlier incident with Corey Rutherford, and he brought it back to a P4 finish. Very nice. But it's all Dalton Kilrow yet again. Win number 11. I cannot wait to speak to this driver to hear how excited he is. As we're going to wait for him to get done with the cool down lap. That Daddy-O's number 41 from MF Racing Designs, the Five Kings Motorsports Camp. It's looking strong. It's been looking strong. Michael, if you're still watching, I need you to update this guy's car for him. It needs to have hashtag all I do is win on it somewhere. Dalton Kilrow, race win number 11. As we take a brief intermission, we're going to wait for the driver to get back and do his donuts, get it all done and over with. It's going to be Dalton Kilrose carrying race win number 11. And I want to remind you folks that this winning moment is brought to you by Savage Edge Apparel. That's Corey Sherman and Amanda Sherman. They are some of the best apparel game in the business. They do accessories, they do lanyards, they do anything you need when it comes to graphic work on shirts, on anything. They can do it. We just ordered about $300 worth of shirts for them for Five Kings Motorsports, and we rep them loud and proud every single day. Savage Edge Apparel for all your vinyl graphics, custom apparel, and accessory needs. Check them out on Facebook. Give them a like and let them know we sent you. As we're now going to go over to the BAM Racing videos, post-race interviews over here on the Five Kings Motorsports YouTube page, Five Kings Network Facebook page. Going to talk to our third place finisher first if he is in Discord. I am not seeing Jason in Discord as of yet. So, since Jason is not in here, we will talk to Brian Dees as Dalton is acting like he never won before. He is still out here doing burnouts. But Brian Dees, this is Tanner Marr in the Five Kings Network booth. You got a copy?
I got you. How's it going, Tanner?
It's going good, Brian. How's it going for you?
I don't know why I just jumped out of my car. I probably shouldn't have done that.
You're all good. You're all good. No worries. So, Brian.
Sorry about that.
No,
but yeah, doing pretty damn good, actually.
I mean, I honestly, there was, for about 7 laps there, Brian, you were the fastest car on track. I thought you were just pacing Kilroe and just waiting for that opportunity. You are the soul stealer. I thought you were going to steal a soul. If you got to Dalton then at the end, was you going to put the bumper to him?
I ain't gonna lie, I was thinking about it. I even mentioned it to him one of the times we came out of the final turn and there was a lap car. I forget who it was.
Yeah.
But he was kind of right there and kind of jumbled us all up a little bit. But yeah, I kind of got underneath him a little bit and I saw him getting loose and I told him I was thinking about not lifting for him.
Well, I mean,
I don't usually race like that, and I said to him too. I was having way too much fun to try to win it that way.
Your two pace, both of y'all, it was so close that if you go back and watch the broadcast, you hear it in my voice where I'm getting so excited where y'all are matching lap times. And now I can't see the third number in SDK, but I can see the first 2 numbers. And for like 3-4 laps in a row, these right before y'all pitted, y'all are matching lap time. So like the pace that y'all both showed here tonight was remarkable. I mean, it was just crazy. And Jason Stewart was up there as well. He's not in Discord for whatever reason, but that don't matter. So Brian, you had a roller coaster of a season. You actually missed the playoffs. I never would have guessed you would have missed the playoffs. I'm not sure if you missed races or what. I can't remember. But
yeah, I missed like 3 or 4 races.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. I mean, that's gonna right there take you out of playoff contentions. But are you going to be around for next season?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, I'm definitely loving this league. It's a lot of fun, especially if we can put on shows like this. I hope it was a good show on the broadcast.
It was awesome.
It was fun as hell to drive.
I've lost my voice, so my throat's been killing me for 3 days, and I had to come on here, and then y'all put on a show like that. Yeah, I've lost my voice, but I had fun doing it, Brian. I mean, I really did. Y'all put on a show. The 2 weeks that I've done it thus far has been great racing, and you're a huge part of that. So thank you for what you do out here, and it's entertaining nonetheless. But Brian, let me know who makes that 17 car go so fast each and every week, no matter what car you're in.
I got to thank Michael Falk. Does all these awesome, badass paint schemes for me. He does pretty much every paint scheme for all the leagues I do. So yeah, big shout out to him. If you're looking for a paint scheme out there, definitely shout him out. MF Racing Designs.
All right, Brian, and I got to ask you a question. I probably should ask you this off air, but I'm going to ask you on there. So I'm into roller coasters. I love roller coasters. We travel everywhere. I noticed your profile picture. You're standing with Steel Vengeance. Did you like it? The roller
Loved
coaster?
it.
All right,
Pro-
right on.
probably
That's my
probably my favorite
that's my
coaster that I've ridden so far.
yeah, that's my number one. So that's awesome. I saw that. I saw your picture today. Matter of fact, and I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. So right on. That's Brian D's. Brought it home P2. He was right there with Dalton Kilrow all night long. Brought it home P2, and we'll be seeing him next week at Phoenix. Brian, congratulations on finishing the middle of the podium. So we'll see you next week, brother.
Thanks, appreciate it, and appreciate the broadcast.
Yes, sir. Anytime. All right, and then without any further ado, Mr. 11 time, I'm telling you, somewhere in this streak, we're going to have to just hashtag all he does is win. It's Dalton Kilrow, driver of number 41, Daddy O's MF Racing Designs 5 Kings Motorsports machine. You got a copy.
Yes, sir.
So, Dalton, I even said in the broadcast, I was like, anybody that comes out here and they win like this, they got to start thinking, I'm undefeated, I'm unstoppable. But I know you personally, and you don't come across like that. But, segue, how in the world does it feel to win 11 races out of 13 races in the season? And we're not done yet.
Yeah, it's crazy that I've been lucky enough to go on this streak. I've had a lot of pretty luck-filled races where guys that were faster than me and should have won hit the wall or messed up in the pits or something random happened.
I can
to
only
them
think of
throughout
two.
the season.
I can think of two that happened. But keep
Well,
going.
Yeah, that I wasn't even the fastest car tonight. It's so hard to overtake around here. You got to
Right.
get such a good run, and I know Brian behind me. I think he was overdriving just a little bit to try to get that run, and ended up burning the rear tires off of it. So I'm thinking that's why he wasn't able to get around me. But he was much faster than me. I'm surprised I even got ahead of him in the first place.
Right.
But just, I mean, to have the dominoes fall the way they have this season, it's just been crazy.
Speaking about you thinking that was D's was maybe pushing a little bit harder, and I mean I mentioned that on the broadcast. There was two corners that I noticed you would be pretty smooth on, and now sometimes he would get you on those corners. That was the very last corner before the front stretch, and then coming out of the carousel. You would see sometimes he would really close the gap in on you, and then other times you would see him start fighting that car trying to save it. Whereas you were super silky smooth. What was your tires like from that first stint? Because I know you pitted on lap 6. Was that the strategy coming in too?
In a way, yes. I knew in practice we could go 17, maybe 18 laps on fuel. With the start, I wasn't really anticipating getting out to the lead, but once I got there, I was like, okay, I just need to kind of hold them off for a couple laps and see what happens.
Right.
But I just kind of decided to run the race kind of backwards. I knew we had 2 stops we had to make, but one of them was probably going to be for fuel only, or at least that was my mindset. So I figured I'd rather take that stop early, and then be on, a set of tires late, so that way I just had the gap and had the tires, so they'd have to drive it hard to get to me. But then I wanted to stretch it an extra lap, so I was kind of lifting and coasting a little bit, and that
Right.
ate away at the advantage I had and allowed Brian to come in right behind me.
That's what I was going to get to next. So you ended up staying out there a little bit longer than everybody on those tires. What were they feeling like when you did come in for that first set? Was you okay, like percentage wise, or was that right rear and left rear being used quite a bit?
I mean, the tires felt fine. You could tell on exit in particular, it would be a little bit loose, so you'd still have to kind of play with the throttle.
Right.
But no, I mean, the left sides definitely wore more. I want to say my left front was in like the 86% range.
Okay.
And I think my rear was like 85, if I remember right. I think it was like 85, 86 on the just both rears as well. So, I mean, the tires probably could have gone to the end of the race, but I didn't want to take that chance and then end up getting absolutely demolished when both
Right.
Dees and Stewart took fresh rubber
Right.
and just blew past me.
Makes
But
sense.
they didn't feel bad.
I got you. It makes sense. Well, that's Dalton Kilrow. I mean, he's won 11 races. He is looking like he has the championship locked up. I mean, can we just go out on a limb now and say you are the champion of the season? I think we can. I mean, you had like an 86-point lead coming into the night, so I don't think
Yeah,
mathematically it's possible. So,
Oh.
so we'll wrap it up.
If I
with
locked
that.
it up tonight, I locked it up tonight.
Right.
If I didn't lock it up,
We'll lock it up.
no.
We'll figure it out next week.
Well,
We'll know
yeah,
next
we'll
week.
figure out what I gotta do.
Right, we're going to Phoenix next week. That's going to be an interesting race. Dalton, that number 41, we know you got Daddy-O's on it. MF Racing Designs. It's a little bit older paint scheme, but let me know who makes that 41 so fast each and every week.
Well, you already said two of them. Daddy-O's Barbershop and MF Racing Designs. They're awesome. Got to also thank BAM Racing Videos, FB Button Box, Savage Edge Apparel, Raise Energy, Butt Kicker. You for doing the broadcast for us, and the admins for ASRL, and everybody else at Five Kings Motorsports.
There you have it. Right on. That's Dalton Kilroy. He brought it home. P1 got the lead early here at Watkins Glen for the playoff race number 2 in the American Sim Racing League. Pitted, lost the lead a couple times because people stayed out a little bit longer, but never stayed far behind the 8 ball. Got that lead back and was able to hold on to it. That's Dalton Kilroy. Brought it home. P number 1 once again for race win number 11. Folks, you can catch us at the same place, same time next week, except instead of road course racing, we are going to Phoenix Raceway. That's going to be a very interesting race. That dogleg can be treacherous. Before we wrap it up here tonight, though, let's go through our results really quick, and then we'll call it a night. We have, like I said, Dalton Kilroy with the race winner coming out of Five Kings Motorsports. Then you got Brian Dees. He fell off just one spot short, but still a very impressive race. A good battle between that 17 and 41 all night. That marvelous Avengers, MF Racing Designs, S&M Motorsports machine was looking fast all night. Brought it home P2. And then the driver out of Dirty Bird Sim Racing, Jason Stewart, P3. Rick Thompson, P4, with Brad Collins rounding out your top 5 finishers. Then we had the brother affair, Joshua Rutherford. He got the better of his other brother, Corey Rutherford, this night. They're both drivers are coming from work in progress. They finished 6th and 7th respectively. Joshua Sexton brought it home P8. Paul Ellison P9 with Casey Campbell rounding out your top 10 finishers here tonight. And then you see there at the bottom, Taylor the Butcher Benjamin, lap 1, got into a massive incident, caused him to get way far behind, 5 laps behind, was never able to make up that gap, but did stick it out like a warrior, like we love to see out here. The races where you do good, that's not what determines you. It's the races you do bad in, what you do and how to overcome those is what determines you. And we saw right there, Taylor the Butcher Benjamin, lap 1, pretty much ended his night for a good race. Did end his night for a good race. Stuck around and gained a spot from Matthew Edens there. And you see at the bottom, Matthew Edens, he's rounding out your top 12 of the field. Folks, this is American Sim Racing League. Next week, it's going to be the final race of the season where we're going to crown a champion. And then it's going to be a new season coming along. If you want to join this series, you can reach out to Rick Thompson on Discord, Facebook, or simply look up American Sim Racing League on iRacing. Shoot them an invite or a message and they'll get you an invite. But for now, it's been Tanner Marr over on the Five Kings Motorsports YouTube channel, Five Kings Network Facebook page. Thank you, McConey Setup Shop, FB's Custom Button Box, BAM Racing Videos, Savage Edge Apparel, Raise Energy, thebuttkicker.com. I mean, it's just a laundry list. Building Blocks, that's a family-owned daycare. MF Racing Designs. Thank everybody that's ever had a hand in helping this team grow. And, I mean, we're slowly but surely expanding out much further than what we ever thought. We started as a group of 5 guys that did short track racing. Now we're bringing you live action every Wednesday night for the American Sim Racing League. But until next week at Phoenix, we're going to be playing out in the desert. We'll see ya.